as an intro here. So welcome to GreenStep workshop. We are talking about solar today, and with our guests, Sydney from Great Plains Institute and Peter from CERTS. And then we'll hopefully also be hearing from the City of Morris and City of Bemidji on some of their experiences as well. So maybe just as we're kind of getting settled in here, one of the things I thought maybe just to kind of get us in the mindset, I know it's a Thursday morning and still probably getting started on the day. If you haven't had the opportunity, maybe check out the solar suitability map. Just poke around. I'm going to stick it in the chat here if I can find the chat. It's a University of Minnesota tool, and you can go on and search for City Hall, search for, some address in your community or even your own home, if you're curious too, and just kind of play around, see what it tells you. What kind of information does it give you and provide? So we'll give you all a chance to do that, and then as you're getting settled in, if you'd like to introduce yourselves in the chat, just your name, who you're with, and if you're getting any results from that solar suitability tool, what are you seeing? Is it poor, marginal, fair, good, optimal? Again, pick any site, and I will put that chat in the link again. That link in the chat again, if I can say that. All right. Well, we'll let you all kind of play around with that. Again, share in the chat, introduce yourselves, and what you're learning from the solar suitability map. While maybe Sydney, we can get your slides up and start getting into things.
Yeah, sounds great. Hello, everybody. My name is Sydney Tursky. I'm a program coordinator at the Great Plains. Many of you might be familiar with our communities team. I actually am on our renewable energy team, but we all work pretty closely together. And solar is kind of our main thing on the renewable energy team. Today, I'm going to be talking about SolSmart, which is a federal designation program designed to help local governments streamline solar processes like permitting, zoning, inspection, as well as doing community engagement and just taking different actions to make solar more accessible in their communities. This is just a quick slide to say that this project is funded by the federal government and they want you to know that. So quick introduction here. SolSmart is a national designation and technical assistance program. This is updated. There are over 500 local governments that have been designated through this program across the US. And it's designed to make it faster, easier, and more affordable for residents and businesses to go solar. Generally, a SolSmart designation recognizes that communities have taken steps to incentivize and encourage solar in their community. And it also has some meaning among solar developers. So if a community is maybe thinking, oh, what if we looked into putting solar on this public building? If a developer sees they have a SolSmart designation, that kind of says, okay, they know what they're doing. There isn't going to be a ton of red tape. This isn't going to be a nightmare to go. So I feel like probably most of us know this, but we'll just do a quick, what are the benefits of solar? It helps meet local sustainable development goals and reduce carbon emissions. But it also has a lot of economic and job benefits, and adds choice. We're talking a lot about resilience these days, and it's so important to have a mix of energy sources in your community, to make sure that when something happens, not every building goes down. And so, yeah, it also enhances community resilience. So SolSmart is aimed mostly at local governments because even though these actions that the local governments take through SolSmart are aimed at residential solar generally, the local government action still matters because up to 65% of the cost of a solar photovoltaic system is not related to hardware. Those are soft costs, and they include permitting and inspection fees, just different kinds of red tape like that. And so cutting that out and making it much more affordable for residents to go solar is a great action that communities can take. So as I said, SolSmart is a designation program. So basically you, as a community or a regional organization, take certain action steps or criteria to, and each of those criteria is worth a certain amount of points. And so once you get, it's 60 points for bronze, then you're a bronze designated SolSmart community. To achieve those action steps and to get to designation, the program offers free technical assistance and tons of resources. So some of the action steps might be like, update your website to show the process for putting solar on a roof in your community. And there are templates for all of that online. So they make it super easy, and it's very choose your own adventure. So depending on what your community's solar goals are, you can really kind of work it so that you're achieving the goals you already want to achieve through SolSmart. You're getting free help, and you get a little plaque at the end that says you're bronze, silver, gold, or platinum. As a quick note, SolSmart is part of the Federal Justice 40 initiative. So the goal is that 40% of all new SolSmart designees will be representing jurisdictions that the DOE recognizes as underserved. So I've been talking about these action steps or criteria that help you get points to get SolSmart designation. We can't run over what all of those are. There's well over 100 of them. But in general, they're designed to do four things: increase transparency, increase understanding, reduce barriers, or expand access. So some examples of increasing transparency is putting the permitting checklist online. So people looking to get solar can see exactly what forms they need, exactly what the, $35 permit fee or whatever is. Just making it really easy to go through the process. An example of reducing barriers would be decreasing that permit turnaround time. So maybe it's only 3 business days max between when a resident applies for a permit and when they hear back about it. As I noted before, there are 4 levels of designation. So there's bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, which just came about last year. Only one platinum community so far, and unfortunately they are in California. But we're gonna get there. We have a few Minnesota communities that are going for platinum right now, which is exciting. In general, I would say, the level really doesn't matter. You get a ton of benefits going for bronze and just getting that free TA and maybe getting a zoning ordinance fixed up so that it's more not prohibitive of solar. So yeah, it really doesn't matter what level. There's many benefits to all of them. So just some quick data. There's 500 and I actually think that's old. I think we might be up to 513 or 514 designated communities. Most of them are gold, actually. Well, maybe not most, but 192, that's the most of any category. And these communities are in 43 states. and then the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and Virgin Islands. Over 140 million people in the United States live in a SolSmart designated community, which is more than 1 in 3 US residents. Minnesota has 47 SolSmart designees, which I'm happy to say is the second most of any state in the nation. We are beat out only by Illinois, which is very rude of them, but perhaps one day we will overcome. Yeah, as you can see, we have a lot here in the metro area, but they're throughout the state. And as I said, we do have a couple communities that are going for platinum right now, which is really exciting. I'm going to pause and take a sip of water really quick. Thanks. Sorry for the break. Ooh, here we go. So because SolSmart is aimed at fixing permitting, planning, zoning, inspection, obviously those kinds of responsibilities lay in different types of government, and it's different in different states. So we have multiple pathways to designation. The standard pathway is what most communities go through. So any local government that has authority over permitting, planning, zoning, inspection, it goes through the standard pathway, whether that's a county or a city, whatever. The modified pathway is for local governments that do not control all of those processes, permitting, planning, zoning. Oops, so sorry. In some states, that's counties don't have that jurisdiction. It just kind of depends. And so we do have that modified so that people without those responsibilities can still go through the process. We also have a regional organization pathway. Mostly that is regional development organizations. That's the Minnesota equivalent. Some states have councils of government. And that is where, you know, a regional development organization is working to really promote and help communities in their region incentivize solar. So no criteria in those is aimed at permitting, planning, zoning, obviously, because RDS don't have that kind of power, but it is a lot of holding trainings, doing education, things like that. So this little graph just shows you what it looks like to go through the SolSmart process, but basically, if anyone is interested, please reach out to me and we can get you started. It's very easy to get started, and the first requirement is just filling out a letter that says, hey, we're gonna try to get SolSmart designation, and getting it signed by a department head or someone, some other relevant person in your community. So it's really easy. And once you fill out that solar statement, you get matched with a technical assistance provider, and they're super knowledgeable, and they will really walk you through the process and help you figure out what criteria make sense for your community and how to get there. So as a quick little note here, I've been talking about these criteria or action steps. They do actually fall into 5 categories, and those 5 categories are permitting and inspection, planning and zoning, government operations, which one government operation criteria is like having solar on a municipal building. So a lot of communities already have that, so they get to automatically get points. Community engagement and market development, which could be working with the utility or with solar developers if your city so chooses. There are a few criteria that are required, things like a zoning review, but in general, you really get to pick what works for your community. And so I think I have mostly gone through this. Let's see here. Once you are matched with that technical assistance provider, they do have a ton of resources to give you in addition to their own expertise. There's just about 1 million webinars, trainings, resources, templates online, as well as examples from other communities, which can be really useful to figure out what works best for you. If anyone has any questions or is interested in getting their community started in SolSmart, please shoot me an email. And I will turn it back over to Kristen. But thanks all for listening today.
Thank you, Sydney. I'm getting all kinds of good information in the chat with people kind of playing around with that solar suitability app. Sydney, can you put the SolSmart website in the chat for folks too?
Yes, will do.
And I forgot to mention this at the top when we started, but please ask your questions. You can use the chat, you can raise your hand. You should be able to unmute and add video. Do we have any questions for Sydney in the SolSmart program? Do we have any SolSmart designees in the room today? You want to like give us a shout out? What are you at?
Yes, this is Keith Miller, and I'm on the Environmental Management Commission for the city of Oakdale. And we are a SolSmart designee at the bronze level. And we have just last year, we hired a new city staff person as liaison for our environmental programs. And so she's still coming up to speed on things. And so it's nice to know that there is technical assistance to help her move the program forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, Keith, let her know she can reach out to me if she has any questions.
All right, any other questions? We can also take them later if they pop up for you as we continue along too. All right. Well, hi, Peter.
Well, hello. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Funny
Well,
meeting you here.
yeah.
Oh,
You're
golly.
next on our agenda.
Peter Lindstrom, come on down.
Yes, come on down.
Fantastic. All right. Sharing my screen. Ta-da. You're able to see that A-okay?
Good to go.
Fantastic. Hello, hello. Hey, it's Peter Lindstrom from CERTS, and good to see you all this morning. I am joined, I see, by some of my CERTS colleagues, Nadia Buckland, who is our regional coordinator in the Southwest, and Heidi All from the Brainerd area, our central regional coordinator, and Jennifer Lindahl is also joining us from the southeast part of the great state of Minnesota. So welcome everybody. Sydney, I think SolSmart is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm just gonna put it out there. A frequently asked question at CERTS is from cities is like, what can we do to encourage more residents or businesses to go forward with renewable energy? And I always say, look at SolSmart as step number one. You know, get your own internal planning, zoning, permitting, rules and regulations in place to help lower those soft costs. And And that's really a great first step. So so cities out there, if you are at the bronze level, think about going for silver or gold, or think about going for SolSmart first and foremost. I can't recommend it high enough. So I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes about some resources that CERTS can offer if you're thinking about solar for your community. And I know that there's looking at the list of folks that are attending here, there's some communities that have had solar for a while, so I'd be interested to hearing your perspective. But just, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with CERTS just in general, but I always just want to remind folks that we are a statewide organization, and that we're all about just helping folks, helping communities do clean energy projects, be as energy efficient as possible, number one, and more and more folks are interested in renewables as well. So we're providing technical assistance, like I'll talk about in the next few minutes here, as well as storytelling and getting the word out about the great work that you all are doing. So, so what sort of resources can CERTS provide? First of all, I think one thing that we can do is just help communities understand what options they have for renewable energy. You know, there's a lot out there. There's green tariff programs that many utilities provide. So think about in Excel territory, they have Wind Source, they have Renewable Connect, where you can sign on today. It's kind of the easy button for renewable energy. Oftentimes, these are coming at a price premium. And it's important to know if you go this direction, if the community receives the renewable energy credits so that you can claim the green benefits. But you know, like I said, it's kind of the easy button. You sign up. Oftentimes they're month-to-month arrangements or more short-term arrangements, a year or 2 years, 3 years. And you pay a little bit of a premium most often. That would be a good thing to understand. And you're off and running. And those green tariffs are coming from renewable sources, wind or solar, often. And so that's a good option for cities. Another option is community solar gardens, either through your utility or through a third party. And just understanding what goes into those types of arrangements. I'm sure many of you already have subscriptions for community solar gardens. Maybe it's on-site solar, you know, and then I would say even kind of backing up as really the first step in all this is just understanding what your goals are. Is it to save money? Is it to lower your carbon footprint? Is it to demonstrate community leadership around sustainability? Maybe it's all of the above. So answering those questions, it's like a decision tree. You know, it can help you point to options that you wish to move forward on. So helping you understand the options when it comes to on-site solar, whether that's directly buying it, owning it outright from day one, some of the benefits and challenges with that option. Maybe it's leasing the array. Maybe it is through a power purchase agreement. Those are the three primary ways to move forward with on-site solar. CERTS can also help understand what sort of financial incentives are out there for you. Some of you are aware there was a webinar 10 days ago or so about the new grant opportunity for communities in Excel territory. Solar for Public Buildings grant through the state. There are utility incentives. There is the new-ish federal direct pay or elective pay. So just understanding how those grants, how those incentives can play into the financing of the project is something that we can help you work through. And then the procurement options as well. So getting a bid, issuing an RFP, or using, and I don't think this is known enough that this is an option for cities, using the state's master contract for solar. There is a master contract that the state of Minnesota has that cities, schools can tap into. And the benefit of that is that it lays out all of the terms and conditions. It puts in, it has ceiling prices. And then there are 9 companies, installers, that have really been pre-qualified to do these types of projects. And it's a real streamlined process that cities can tap into. CERTs can also help with site selection. Gosh, do you put that solar array up on the new fire department, fire station, or do you put it up on the community center or city hall, on the ground or on the roof? And so we can just talk through some of the pros and cons of different sites, get a solid understanding of your solar suitability, your roof, things of that nature. And then we've got this model RFP, or a template RFP that many schools and cities have utilized. You know, it's challenging. I mean, these are projects that are like once in a career, twice in a career type projects. It's not something that you do every single day, or a city doesn't buy solar arrays every week, right? So it's pretty challenging to just be sitting in front of your computer and come up with an RFP from scratch for a solar array that's going to be up on your roof for the next 3 decades. So having a model RFP is really just a good starting point for these types of projects. We always do recommend getting at least 2-3 quotes, or issuing an RFP, request for proposals. And you can modify this RFP as you see fit. Maybe you want to change it to encourage hiring a local installer, for example. So, adding more points to the scoring process for local installers or job creation, something like that. So that's an option. So we got this model or template RFP, and then we can help communities set up a in-person and virtual pre-bid meeting. So installers will want to come out to your location and look at your mechanical room and look at the roof, and so we can set up both a virtual, a Zoom meeting, and an in-person pre-bid meeting. Let's see. We can also help review proposals. If you've got 2-3 proposals and you're like, gosh, sometimes they're not apples to apples comparisons. You may have a proposal that is suggesting a 40 kW array, and the same building, a different proposal that is suggesting a 250 kW array with different products, different financing models. One is suggesting a power purchase agreement. One is suggesting a direct pay, and just kind of fleshing that all out is something that we can help with. The other thing that's important when looking at these proposals is the warranties. Oftentimes the arrays are under warranty for 20 years plus, with the inverters under warranty for, I'd say, a minimum of 12 years. But just looking through these proposals and saying, okay, yep, they've got the warranty spelled out for this, but they're missing this. You should ask them about how they're going to handle this situation. Those are things that we can help communities with. And then storytelling, like I said at the outset here, just getting the word out, to your stakeholders, to your taxpayers. We've got a really robust newsletter. It goes out to around 12,000 people, and a very active website, social media. We love to tell these success stories, and so that's an important part of our work as well. And that's me. So if you're thinking about heading down this path, I'd love to meet with you and chat with you and see what you're thinking and help you get your project completed. That's me. Thanks.
Thanks,
You,
Peter.
Kristen.
I just put in the chat the public solar projects in Minnesota communities map, which has featured stories and goes into some lots of examples of on-site solar and community solar projects. So that is a really great place to start. Get some ideas, maybe some. We're all happy to help make connections so you can talk to each other and learn about experiences and all of that too. Cool. Well, I'm not getting any questions in the chat. Do we have any questions? You want to unmute yourself or raise your hand? You guys do too good of a job at certs. Everything's online. It's great. It's organized. No questions. Yeah, if you have not been to the CERS website, I definitely encourage you to do so. It's really well organized. You can search by make sure I get the who to help, so you can look up cities and counties, etc. Or you can search by tools and guides. You can go straight to solar energy information that way too. Yeah, Marcia.
Sure, I just had one quick question for Peter. I know he was great through our project. Awesome certs. But do you also look at like the whole city? So I know we looked at one individual location. You helped us with that, but you also do you provide that service to like come in, look at the whole city and be like, this is a good site, this might not be a great site, so that there can be kind of global planning for the city? Is that something you do?
Great question, Marcia. And I know you're talking here in a minute, and I'll just say, like, the way that Bemidji did it is absolutely the model for how all cities, I feel, should move forward with solar procurement. That's just a teaser for your upcoming comments here. Yeah, look, no pressure or anything. But yeah, do we look at the whole city or just a specific area? I would say it kind of depends on the size of the city. I would say we don't have the capacity to. There's a couple things. We don't have the capacity to look at like 30 different buildings and do any sort of comprehensive analysis of that. And we also don't have the capacity to do any sort of engineering work to see if your roof can actually hold solar. So those are the two limitations. But if you got a few sites under consideration, should we put it out on near the wastewater treatment plant, or at the tourist information center, or city hall? Absolutely. We can look at the solar suitability app. We can look at PV Watts, which is another great tool. It's pretty intuitive. You don't need to be a super expert to use PV Watts. It's just we can drop a link into the chat. That's just where you put your address into PV Watts, and you can it'll pull up your building, and then you can actually draw the proposed solar array on the building. Click next, and it'll say you can put a 50 kW array up on this site, and it'll produce 60,000 kilowatt hours a year at this site. That gets this amount of sunshine at this location. And so we can look at 3, 4, 5, 6 sites easily and do that type of analysis. Great question.
And we are recording this, and we'll share slides, and I'm keeping track of all the links and things to follow up and share with you all afterwards as well. Any other questions, thoughts, stories you want to share at this point? Okay. Well, we'll keep moving along. I think we'll be going. We don't have Griffin, right, Peter?
Correct, but I can fill in a little bit for
Okay.
Morris.
All right. Well, we're going to
Maybe
jump into some.
Yeah, let Bemidji go first.
Yeah. Let's jump into some examples. We invited City of Bemidji to talk a little bit about their model experience, and also the City of Morris. We'll see if Griffin is able to hop on in the meantime. Otherwise, we can share some information too. So yeah, let's yeah, you want to talk any more about Bemidji, Peter, and or just let him jump in?
Go for it.
Okay, welcome.
I think Jamin is on here too. So Jamin, did you want to go first?
Sure, my camera seems to not be working, so sorry. Hi, everybody. If you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so Peter, I've been working for quite a long time. I think this went back to 2019. We are a bronze designated city. I have worked in the past to get a higher designation, but to no avail, because you need the building department to sign on to that quicker turnaround, which it's been a little tougher going there because we've had some turnover in that department for quite a few years. I was just going through our solar landing page and realized that some of the links have been outdated, and we'll have to do some updating there. But just a quick synopsis: we do allow solar in all of our zones, and we do allow commercial in certain zones. But there's only been a few projects, and Marcia's is probably the tick is the most notable, which she didn't need anything from me because it's allowed, which was really nice. And just had to get her, I believe it was a building permit and probably the electrical and whatever else you had to do, which I, again, didn't need much from my office, which is nice. So that's where we're at. I would like to get us to a higher designation, but we've been kind of inundated. We've changed from a joint entity to city only in the planning and zoning world here. So we've had a lot of change over this past couple months. So that's where we're at. I'll let Marcia go with her project. But I also had that question about citywide buildings, citywide locations, what we could do there moving forward, because there is interest in getting more arrays going. I think you're showing, the tick is showing some great money saving. So I think that's going to start getting some good traction here moving forward.
All right, thanks, Jamin. I'm Marcia Larson. I am the Parks and Rec Director. I do have because I don't like people looking at me, and everyone here is off camera, so it's even more awkward. I do have a little bit of a PowerPoint because everyone loves pictures. I love pictures. Thanks, Keith. So will it let me share? I'll give it a go. How's that? Oh, now you can see my message screen here. Let's get. Okay. And are we sharing? Am I sharing or no? Not yet. Here we go. Let's see. Okay.
All good.
There we go. Okay. So I got two screens, so sometimes I get easily confused. So yes, we did a solar project at the TIC. So I just love pictures, and this is a great one of them actually doing the install, which I was on there constantly. Luckily, my office is super close. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about just some of the cool things about solar, and then how we kind of went through the process. As a park and rec director, it's not generally my bailiwick, solar. I love challenges. I love to learn. But you know, it was a little intimidating, I will say. So, so some of the steps here, let's see here. Okay. Some of the steps, just a little background. So this was a city council initiative. We had a council member who really wanted to see this project go, talked about what building, and everyone was really excited to get it moving, and kind of just said, do it. So that's great. Like I said, I love projects. It's super high visibility. It's at Paul Bunyan Park, Paul and Babe, Shana Washkung's there. It's a plaza, super high activity. And right away, people are really sensitive about that park too. So really trying to think about my little bit lack of knowledge in solar, along with a high visibility park and a project that most of the council was on board with, but we weren't really sure. Made it a little bit challenging. So I think, like, for me, the most important thing was immediately to find people smarter than me, you know, who in our community, who is out there that can help. And I wasn't even sure where to go at first, but luckily we have some awesome members in our community. Anna Carlson is one. She works at VSU, get very engaged, has done some solar projects, and right away sent a ton of links and said, talk to CERTs. They will help you. So that is one of the huge things we did. And whenever I do park projects, I always try to involve the public anyways. But in this case, getting a committee with CERTs helping us with the RFP in that process was amazing. Having some community members on a committee, a park and rec commissioner. So we formed a really nice committee that kind of talked about how would this look, and did a request for proposals, which Peter helped me write, or pretty much wrote, and then we adjusted it for our community. And then had the committee kind of look at these proposals and figure out what's our best fit. We did rate them, and kind of look at how that fits for our community. What do we want out of this project versus maybe what somebody else would want given the location? The rating may have been a little bit different if we were looking at, say, our wastewater treatment plant or a water plant or the Sanford Center, a big event center, those needs. But this really fit with here and gives us the opportunity for some education. So I think that was really important. It did take us a little while to get through that process. And I think that's okay. Just taking the time and really getting people on board was really big. And one of the other things we did once it was all said and done, and there was a lot between, hey, council, this is a proposal. Can we go with Real Solar? They're close. They're great. They meet all of the things our committee desires. To the picture here where we're all celebrating. But the celebration was also huge. For me, when they flipped the switch on, it was just me. And I think Real Solar and the electrician from Ottertail, and I thought it was going to be this big moment, but it really was like up, on, okay, now it's off, and now it's on again. So, but being able to pull in the community, the mayor, our sustainability commission, Peter, and CERTS was represented, just getting everyone who helped along the way to celebrate and giving the council the ability to be like, yeah, we love this project. And with our celebration, we were also able to bring in our Harmony Food Co-op to provide some food because they did kind of a solar awning on their business years ago. So all of that was just really, really amazing. And really, for me, I learned so much of the process. And now we have this awesome solar. And I did, before this question comes up, we did rate all of them. And again, it was really about having a clear recommendation, all being on the same page, and trusting in the people that are helping you through this process, that they know the community, maybe they understand solar and its impacts, but also really understand what your project is. And this is kind of how we looked at it and how to choose the best fit for our community, which I think was huge. So I wanted to throw that up there. And one other thing, I know I'm probably going over my time, so someone's just going to have to do this. One of the really cool things about our project, which I'm still working on a bit, is I just did a quick screenshot here from earlier today, and this is like live. So Enphase is an app, which you're all probably familiar with, but it's a really cool tool for me. If someone's like, oh, is it actually generating anything? Yes, it is. Right, like today it's sunny out, but we are 100% generating our energy to do the build, to take care of the building. So we're producing more energy than we need, puts it back into the system. So that is like a really cool thing that I try to like share online. We're trying to figure out how to get it into our tourist center. So when people come in, they can see that how much energy are we generating? How much are we pulling off the grid, and like how is that all working? Because there's always questions. So this is a really cool tool. Politically, people love it as well. Council loves it. So we're still working on that, but it's a cool tool. So, and this is just a really cool picture that actually Real Solar took for us right after they finished. So kind of gives you a view of like the park, and it's very green. So it's kind of fun. So I don't know. I think that's all I have. I know I probably talked too long, but any questions or anything I missed, Peter? Again, CERS was amazing.
Amazing. That's great. Council loves it. That's probably the magic words right there.
Yeah, and the community loves it. I mean, when they first started talking solar, we were getting questions like, oh, is it going to blind Paul? Or, how is this going to affect your main area? And now everyone just is excited it's there. Don't want to blind Paul.
No, that would be bad. Or Babe. That would be bad as well. Babe rampaging through downtown Bemidji. That'd be bad.
Be very bad.
Oh, that's awesome. I have not been up to Bemidji since that's been done. So I look forward to my next visit where I can actually see it. Congratulations.
Yes, great project, really fun. And I'm like, Jamin, how do we get more buildings? I think our council was like, this is a good application, but are there better applications where we can really have a huge savings? You know, whether it's our water treatment plant, the Sanford Center, City Hall, like what other buildings make sense? And I think that would be helpful to push that conversation along. And we have a sustainability committee that's very interested. And they're new, so they're still trying to figure out exactly what their role is, but I wish they would have been maybe a little farther along when I started this project, but that's okay.
Well, this is great. Yeah, and you've got data to back up you know, how this project is going and hopefully help make the case for future projects. I know the first one's probably always the hardest, right, Peter?
For sure. I'm happy to talk about Morris, unless there's some more questions for Marcia. Kristen, should I just dive right in?
Yeah. What's Morris up to?
Got a couple of minutes. Yeah. By the way, Marcia, I love the question that you asked yourself essentially is who is out there that can help? I think that's a great starting point for these types of projects. The community has either a lot of interest or a lot of expertise or both in doing these types of projects. And so that's fantastic that you headed in that direction. Morris is the same way. That's a community that that has a lot of interest in these types of projects, sustainability in general. It really started out when their recently retired city administrator, Blaine Hill, participated in the Climate Smart Municipalities program maybe a decade ago or so. This is where Minnesota communities are matched up with similar communities in Germany. And German communities travel over to Minnesota communities travel over to Germany, and they learn from each other. Morris, small community in Western MN, was matched up with a community by the name of Saarbeck and a similar sized small community in Germany. And it got Blaine really jazzed up. Blaine Hill really jazzed up about sustainability in his community. And they rolled out the the Morris model, which answered that question is who else is out there that can help? And Blaine quickly learned that there was lots of institutional organizations that were interested, the hospital, the county, those types of groups, University of Minnesota Morris, as well as businesses and residents. Students were very fired up about this topic. They have a robotics team at the high school, and you know, these teams, these clubs, they're always looking for money, right? This robotics team, they always have to build like a 100-pound robot and then travel around to competitions. And the team, some members of the coach, guy named Troy Goodnow, he thought, gosh, if we could build a solar array for the school, at the school, could we use the savings that the array generates for the school? Could we use the savings to dedicate it to the robotics club? And he ran it past the superintendent. Superintendent said, yeah, sure. If you can raise the money and get the school board to buy into this, If you can raise $35,000, go for it. And so the club did do that. They got some funding from the utility. They got some CERTS funding. They did some traditional fundraising, and they built a solar array. That school since has got a big grant from the state for solar for schools for additional solar at their school. The city has 4 sites. They worked with CERTS. 4 sites with solar. They have their city hall, their community center, their library, and their municipal liquor store. Blaine Hill likes to say that they are the only town whose beer is cooled by clean energy. I love it. And they have some big goals, which I think is another good first thing for communities to do is like set some goals around renewable energy. And Morris's goal is 80% clean energy, renewable energy by 2030. They set that several years ago before they went through these endeavors. And so that's what I know about Morris. They did similar to Bemidji. They used a lot of community members to help out with their solar project. They used our model, the CERTS model, RFP, and I think it's been a really positive project for them. I'll wrap up by saying, just in general, there's a new study put out, I don't know, maybe a month ago or so. I think by NREL, National Renewable Energy Lab, that showed these solar arrays that communities put up either in the school, on top of a school, or by a school, or a city puts up, has a positive impact on renewable energy community-wide. They've seen strong, clear indications that if these large institutional organizations, the government or otherwise, move forward with a solar project, then that's a positive impact for the community putting in more solar as well, which is great. That's what I know, Kristen.
Thanks, Peter. They're also a SolSmart Silver. Remember, I don't think you said that. If you did, I apologize.
I did not.
I put a couple stories in the chat as well that kind of go into a little bit more detail. They're really great. Griffin wasn't able to join us this morning, unfortunately, but I'm sure would be absolutely happy to chat one-on-one at any time too, or host you for a tour if you haven't been out to Morris. There's plenty of good things to see. Well, we are at time. So I appreciate everyone coming out this morning and talking about solar. I hope it brought a little sense of spring into your day, thinking about sunshine and what's ahead. So yeah, lots of resources out there for you all. We are happy to help connect you to them or to other communities. You can learn from their examples, go on tours, see the things, ask questions, get quotes, get it started. Happy to help, and we look forward to hearing about your next solar projects. So thank you all. We will follow up with an email with contact information and links and recording and slides.